know if it's just me, but I feel like time is moving very fast at the moment, and as such, well, we're already a week into the event of the Attack of the Undead in Call of Duty World War II. Last week we had Sledgehammer drop to us out of the blue this entire new event, something that we discussed and theorized for a little bit that it would come at that point, but we had no solid indication. There was no real teasers leading up to it, nothing like that. So this was all pretty much just out of the blue, and in it we ended up getting, of course, a massive update, some different changes here and there, and then some things like new weapons, a new HQ, some new game modes on the horizon, all that kind of stuff, and it really kicked off into what I think has been a great week so far. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it already, but we're now starting week 2, so today we're going to be taking a look at everything that changed within today's update for Call of Duty World War II. It's not anything in which you have to physically download an update, like another title update. Yesterday we had a small one for around like 67 megabytes or something, which to me was kind of weird, because that's usually around the hotfix level, at least in my understanding of how things would work out with that, but it is something. We got a small title update yesterday that maybe prepped for today's little weekly refresh, but we ended up getting the calendar events changed out and a new thing to look forward to this week, so we're gonna be taking a look at everything on the table here with this one. So jumping right into it, let's talk about some of the changes, or additions rather, to Call of Duty World War II, and then we'll discuss the actual schedule of events and everything like that a little bit further in the video. So the big thing coming out of this is, of course, a brand new mode. That was probably the main focus and centerpiece of this week 2 of the Attack of the Undead event. Last week it was all about Infected. We saw all sorts of things resonate throughout the challenges and orders and that kind of stuff pertaining and linking back to Infected. This time it's about Horde Point, which is a great mode. And again, if you guys have not seen any of it thus far, you haven't played it yourself, it's essentially Horde Point, but on top of just it being combat between one team and another, in which you have to really already be aware of everything, you now have zombies that spawn all around the map when somebody is on or near their hard points. So it's something that it adds an entire new level of depth to the game mode, and if you like hectic, chaotic game modes, this is definitely the one for you. It's honestly really fun, it'll keep you engaged, everything like that, and so if you have not tried it out already, definitely recommend doing so. Now, it's gonna be a little bit of a challenge at times, but definitely worth it. As for the gameplay itself, still same rules and principles apply as a regular hardpoint, first team to 250, though I feel like there's a little bit of, I don't know if it's a lag or a delay, because I've gone over 250 a couple of times in matches I've played earlier. Plus, also, one other thing to note is that your score streaks are actually predetermined. You can't choose your score streaks going into this. You end up having the ability with regular score in score streaks to have the Molotovs, a recon plane, and then the flamethrower, but if you end up having the Blitzkrieg basic training, you also have the fire bombing run to give you 4 streaks instead of those 3, but they're still, again, predetermined as that sort of fire streak that you end up getting for everything. So, makes things very chaotic, of course, because you end up seeing a lot happen all at once, and one thing on top of all that, talking about how much happens, you might notice in some situations, close quarters, you'll get some super hardcore frame lag, just because there's so much going on in such a tight space. But again, it's an absolute blast to play, so definitely give that a shot if you have the opportunity to. On top of that, we had a bunch of different orders and contracts, or I guess a handful of them, not a bunch, but firstly, let's start out with the orders. Firstly, there are new daily orders, of course, that happen. Today's I'm actually very excited for, and very happy I already completed it, that being the Commander 2 Heroic variant for the Car 98K. This one was actually in the game for a while, since the last weapon refresh in which we got new weapon variants for those select weapons, but that's one that, of course, for today is 75 kills while holding your breath, so essentially just sharpshooter kills. Take advantage of that one, it looks absolutely fantastic, so if you guys are a sniper or enjoy sniping in the least bit, this one is definitely worth the time to grind it out. Again, there are going to be more ones that come out through the week, but I was super happy about this one. As for the weekly, well, we ended up getting a slight refresh here for this one. We ended up seeing the 200 explosive kills, unless mine's bugged, because we just had that one recently, I think like 2 weeks ago, maybe 3. Regardless, I still have it active, but it showed up again, so unless mine's bugged, that's what we have also, but you also have the ability to win 30 matches. Both of those will grant you a rare supply drop for the weeklies, but then we also see another Undead bribe introduced with the ability to earn that by winning 20 matches of Horde points. So that was definitely worth your time, I think, and maybe you can go for those. But again, as for moving into the contracts then, well, pretty much all the contracts are primarily the same. We still have our ones for Dom, TDM, Kill Confirmed, and Hardcore modes, as well as rifles and LMGs. And there also is still that one for completing matches if you haven't finished the bribes yet for the Winter Siege items, and then also the Resistance items. There's those 2 bribes that once you complete one, the other will unlock, that sort of thing. But the new one in the contracts is actually the new weapon contract, because we ended up getting this a little bit right. We talked about it in just slight theory, we didn't really put money on it, but this being the Type 5 now, finishing out the Blitzkrieg items that we have here for the weaponry. So that is one that if you don't have that, it's definitely worthwhile. It's very similar to that of the M1, so if you don't really like going for these, if you don't want to spend your armory credits, it's very similar if you don't have this, so you're not really missing out on much. But if you do want to take part in it, again, it is 5,000 armory credits for 15 multi-kills in an hour's time. Now, this does not seem like it has anything specific to class, so you can literally just chain kills together and it's yours. So whether that be grenade kills, SMG kills, rifle kills, sniper kills, whatever it is, what's classified in World War II as a multi-kill is at least a double, so just get 15 of those in an hour and it's all yours. So still relatively easy to obtain if that's something you are interested in. It's there for the next week up until next Tuesday. Now, I think perhaps one of the biggest things that changed out of this update, aside from adding in Horde Point, a brand new mode for World War II, one of the biggest things I think that will make people very happy is that Infected actually didn't go away. This is the first time that we've seen this happen in which any of the events have introduced a brand new mode and it hasn't gone away after the designated period that it said that it was going to go live for. But previously we thought we'd have one a week where we see, of course, in that trailer it designates which week is pertaining to which game mode. And so Infected we thought maybe would go away after that first week. Personally, I kind of thought that it would go away after the first week and then come back in the final week of the event so that we see maybe everything there and then a big mosh pit of that as kind of a coup de grace and going away type of thing, and then maybe Infected added in maybe a month later or something like that permanently, like we saw how Prop Hunt and Gun Game were introduced after Winter Siege as being that new stable addition to World War II. But we actually see this now if you go into the Party Modes tab in Matchmaking. Infected actually is right there, so it's still in the game, it did not go anywhere, which is an awesome thing, I think, because the community has been wanting this for so long that it's nice to see this was now placed into party games rather than taken out immediately. Now, as it stands right now, I have no idea if this will be taken out after the event is finished, but I'm hoping that by moving it into something where we've seen a stable category kind of built up for this, this is a good sign that it's not going anywhere. But as for the calendar of events, outside of things that we see immediately right now, what else can we look forward to in terms of this that has been refreshed simply for the Attack of the Undead update? Well, it actually follows last week's model almost to a T. So last week we ended up having the midweek mobilization for Wednesday with Party Up double XP for Infected. Then we ended up having the weekend warfare being triple feed XP in Infected, and also there was an order offering an Undead bribe for 20 matches of Infected as well. So that was last week, but now it's been refreshed out to pretty much resemble that, but of course with Horde points. So this week we'll end up seeing the midweek mobilization starting tomorrow with double XP and Horde point. Then we'll see the weekend warfare starting on Friday the 8th with triple feed XP and Horde point as well. And then we actually have not one but two orders this week, or I guess an order and contract, so a little different from last week. Firstly, one order is available right now, like we mentioned in the weekly orders, that being to win 20 matches of Horde point for an Undead bribe. But then the second one is actually going to be coming in contracts on Friday. So for those that have been watching, we've had the Winter bribe as well as the Resistance bribe available for completing 35 matches in multiplayer each, but the timer of those is not actually on par with the other weekly refreshes. Instead, those actually end in 2 days and a few hours and change, and will be replaced on Friday with an Undead bribe contract for completing 35 multiplayer matches. So same requirements, just different reward, and that's going to be starting again with the Weekend Warfare playlist, kind of on that little playlist update and refresh that happens around 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time then. And then outside of that, well, we're probably just going to see some more community challenge progress as well. That was one thing that was detailed in the calendar of events last week as well, but this week I think we can honestly make a huge dent in this. I think that we could honestly maybe hit even the 4th tier of the event just in this week alone, simply because Horde point is insanely good for racking up zombie kills. I don't know if you guys have played it at all yet, but again, quick maths aside, there's probably a couple of hundred zombies slain every single Horde point match, and that's one match out of the maybe hundreds, maybe thousands of matches going on around the world all at one time. So that's going to start to add up astronomically. So I think this week will be a big week. We just completed the 2nd tier of that, in which we got the weapon charm. Next up, we have the Tesla gun, which again, I think we'll be able to do sooner rather than later, and then we'll have a zombies camo given for that as well, and then maybe even the 4th tier granted sometime throughout the week also. But that said, keep an eye out for that kind of stuff, but that's really all that changed here with this one. Again, it wasn't anything that really required you to download an absolute massive update, but instead, it's something that's more of just a refresh of the calendar itself and giving us some things here and there that are quite fun to play around with. But that said, hopefully you guys enjoyed. I'd love to get your thoughts and feedback down there in the comment section down below. Have you guys played Horde point at all? Are you guys enjoying it? And if so, well, what's your favorite part? Personally, I think my favorite map to play this on and favorite part about this is Garrison House, because it is so close quarters and just so insane that it's just so much fun. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed thus far everything in World War II. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. video. Drop a like down below if you guys did. Subscribe to the channel as well if you guys are new and want to stay up to date with everything regarding updates, news, information, best class setups, tips, tricks, all that stuff with Call of Duty World War II. And Black Ops 4 is going to have some cool stuff coming on the horizon as well, so stick it right here if any of that interests you, and make sure you hit that bell icon as well so you get notified of every single upload. YouTube has been a bit weird, so if you guys want to make sure you guys are, that's the best way to do that. And if you guys want to follow me over on Twitter and Instagram, links are down there in the description below. I practically live on Twitter, so if you guys want to straight up conversation, ask me a question, wherever it may be, link is down there in the description below. And also if you guys want to follow me on Instagram, getting a little bit more active over there. So all that stuff is again in the description below. But thank you guys all so much for watching. Mine has been Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care and peace.